So, Joe, one of the things that I'm personally seeing a lot of is a little bit of a let's move away from the cloud movement. Or at least a lot of individuals saying, hey, we're going to bundle our own tools, DuckDB, use this, just so that. Do you see that as, I'm curious from your perspective, do you see that as a rising trend, or maybe that's just what I'm seeing come up, but not really something that is really happening behind the scenes?
Anecdotally, I am seeing this actually. I'm seeing companies, I think for more predictable workloads, by servers, um, even like a Raspberry Pi and just move it back to the to that. In fact, it's interesting. I was having a conversation the other day, yesterday actually, with a friend. She was thinking of some ways to do a cost-effective analytics serving, I think, out of a cloud bucket, and just having it, like each customer just read. And it's like, well, why don't you just use like DuckDB Wasm and just read from like Google Cloud Storage or something? I was like, that would be pretty simple. Or just read from DuckDB. I don't care. But like, these are the kinds of conversations people are like having at this point, right? And so I think it's this notion that, but so people I think want more control of their stack to some degree, and so there's some options out there. But it depends. This also means like now you're going to have to fine tune your governance and your privacy and security to deal with all this. And do you really feel like that's a great idea that you should be taking on? So I think that's sort of the argument of cloud, but it's definitely not where it was a few years ago, where it was all cloud all day. Like you're definitely, at least anecdotally, again, I don't know the numbers, so this is kind of just take it for what it's worth. But I am hearing conversations about this at the same time. Cloud's as big as ever. Like it's just for as many conversations I hear, people trying to do stuff on their laptops. And today we have great machines. Granted, I mean, looking at my Mac Studio right now, and things an absolute beast. Does that mean I need to run my business off of it or my data stack? Depends what it is, right? But if I have a big company, I'm probably going to still be using something that's more managed, in the cloud. So yeah, what are the people seeing out there? I'm very curious.
Yeah, and honestly, I've, at least from my perspective, obviously the reason why I bring it up, I have seen a little bit more of like, oh, for smaller data sets, use this, use that, and I like the idea. I think the idea from thinking pure technical cost, yeah, that can make sense. But the flip side to that is going back to the older days where there was a lot of homebrewed solutions that kind of created a little bit of architectural mess with a lot of, I would say, gaps in the stack too, with like kind of, I think that someone pointed out here, the securities. But I was curious just to see if that wasn't just me
I mean,
that had
I
been
don't think we're
seeing
going
that.
back to Microsoft Access anytime soon. So
I
uh,
mean, Access and SharePoint, man, that's where it's at. That's the best
yeah, watch
that's
it
the
actually
best
takes
stack
off and
there.
it's super popular.